Hey friends, welcome to week 4 of the Every Bit Counts Challenge. This is where I preserve a little bit of something every day in the month of August, and I'm documenting that for you. And so let's go ahead and get started and I'll show you what we accomplished this week. First day of a new week, and I've got these apples that I started last night in the crock pot, and they're all cooked down. As you can see, when you cook apples in the crock pot on a lower heat for a longer period of time, they do kind of start to brown a little bit, and that's okay. I'm going to turn these into apple butter, which will be seasoned with cinnamon and things anyway, so it will be just fine. I'm going to run these through my little old-fashioned mill here and then cook it down even more. Let me show you that. So I got my sweet helper Levi here working on this. Uh-oh, we better get this skin, apple skin, in there before it falls into our pot. As you can see, all of the apple pulp and the juice is running down in here, and he is using the mill to kind of push it through. It's getting dirty. Why don't you spin it, buddy? There you go. Spin it a little more. Oh. There you go. Now you've got it, and that kind of cleans it off. All right, keep going. You can see we have the apple peels and the seeds kind of left behind in the top of the mill, and down here we have everything that we're going to cook down now. I could, if I wanted to, spread this peel mixture out on dehydrator trays and dehydrate it and then pulverize it into like an apple powder that could be used to flavor things, but I'm not feeling like doing that today, so this is actually just going to be fed to the chickens and they will turn it into eggs. So I'm going to get this now in a pot on the stove and let it boil down and thicken up. And there we have it. You can see it's pretty thick already, but we want this to simmer for a little longer, let some of this excess juice evaporate, and let this get really thick. When you're making apple butter, you want it to be extremely thick and spreadable. So kind of like with the tomato jam that I did last week, we're just gonna let this simmer here while we do some other things today, and then we'll come back later once it's a little thicker and add our seasonings and spices. My applesauce has been cooking down for most of the day, and you can see it's down about an inch. That much water has evaporated, so it's nice and thick. And I have added to this about 3, you can see how big the pot is. I added about 3 cups of sugar. Half of it was white sugar and half was brown sugar. And then I added 4 teaspoons of the Pomona's Pectin calcium water, 3 teaspoons of the pectin, and then I just added 2 tablespoons of cinnamon and 1 teaspoon of cloves. I'm going to stir this around, get it to boiling, and then fill my jars over here. I really wish you guys could smell this right now. It smells amazing. I got 20 half pints out of that batch, and I'm going to process them now in the water bath for 10 minutes. So I fit all 20 half pints in my regular water bath canner. You can do multiple layers so long as you put something in between them. I use the bottom trivet from my pressure canner as kind of the barrier between the 2 layers. And so these will process all together then for 10 minutes. All done. It is Monday on the Every Bit Counts Challenge, and we had a busy day. I went swimming with the children, so I'm just trying to hurry up and get something done. I'm shredding up carrots, and then I'm going to freeze them in these muffin cups. Each muffin cup holds about 1/2 cup of carrots. So once they're frozen, I can pop the little carrot pucks out and put them in a bag, and when I want to make carrot cake or carrot muffins, this winter, I have pre-shredded carrot all ready to go. All I have to do is thaw the appropriate number of cups that I need for the recipe, and I'm good to go. So this is one way I really love to prepare and preserve my carrots. I do not blanch these since they're going to be just shredded into baked goods. So this is what I'm doing today. Boys just came in from doing their morning chores, and we're going to get started pretty early here to get this simmering. I'm going to make some barbecue sauce. I'm just using the Ball canning recipe, and I will link it in the description below. Hi, Levi. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, John. Want to say hi?
Hi.
All right, so we will get started here. I just put all of my veggies in the blender and got them pureed up. This was the tomatoes with the skins and all. That's one way I do deviate from the bowl recipe. I do leave the skins on. So this is tomatoes. This is my celery. In place of the green peppers, I used sweet banana peppers. And then I had 2 cayenne peppers. And then I used some onion powder that I have left over from last year instead of raw onions. So I've got all of this pureed up, and it's going to cook down on the stove while we do school this morning, and I'll show you what that looks like later. You can see this has cooked down. Here's the line. It's cooked down quite a bit today, and it's nice and thick. I've added all the seasonings that are in the recipe that I've linked below in the description. Once again, this is the ball canning recipe that I'm using. Now you could, if you wanted this to be a smoother barbecue sauce that you might use as a condiment on a sandwich or something, you could hit this with an immersion blender and try to blend this up even more, even try to mill out some of the seeds and things. But I mostly use this for, like in the crock pot, if I were going to add some chicken or things like that, I would just put this in the crock pot with it to kind of flavor the meat. So this is a fine texture for what I'm going to use it for. So we ended up with 4.5 pints of barbecue sauce, which I'm very pleased with that. That'll be quite a few meals for us this winter, and this was just some random produce that needed used up, so I love when I'm able to just take tomatoes that were otherwise going to go to waste or whatever and turn them into something delicious like this. So this is wonderful. These are going to go in the water bath canner now for 20 minutes. They will process, get all sealed up, and then we're going to add them to the shelves. My little carrot pucks from last night are all frozen, so I'm going to get these transferred into a gallon freezer bag for long-term storage. Down here in the garden with my helper Gabe, and it's like a jungle out here. I'm not even going to show you this, it's so embarrassing. But we're going to find something to harvest and preserve today. All right, let's get going. It is really humid out, so we just got in there as quick as possible, and we mostly just picked some chives and some parsley, and I'm going to show you how we're going to preserve that. Pretty weedy in there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Think we'll weed a little better next year. But the garden still has gifts to give. We'll just be grateful for what we get. All right, let's get it inside. All right, we're back inside with my chives, and what I've done is I've cut off all the blossoms, and you may not know this, but the blossoms also have a chive flavor. It's delicious if you chew on it, and what I like to do is infuse it with vinegar, or infuse the vinegar with the chive blossoms. So this is just some homemade apple cider vinegar, and I have made a video on how I make this before. I will link that in the description below, but all I'm going to do is just drop my chive blossoms in here. I might have to pour some out if it's going to overflow. And we're going to let this sit for a couple of weeks, and then this apple cider vinegar will have a chive flavor. It will kind of come from these chive blossoms, and it's really delicious in salad dressings and things. This is the apple cider vinegar that I will use to make my salad dressings. So I'll just put this up on the shelf, and every day I'll come by and kind of shake it and go like that, and that is how we will infuse that flavor into the vinegar. So when you're infusing vinegar, you do not need to dehydrate your plants. If you were infusing oil, you would need to have these dehydrated, or it could cause your oil to go rancid with the extra moisture. But the vinegar kind of just pickles it, you know, the moisture's fine, and that'll work just fine. So we're going to set this over here with my other vinegars here, and we'll just let that do its thing there for a week. Now for the rest of these chives, all I'm going to do is chop them up here with my kitchen scissors, and I'm going to put them in a little container, and then we're going to put these in the freezer. And then whenever I want some chives to add to like potatoes or whatever it is I'm cooking, I can just scoop a handful of these out and toss them in a dish frozen. So let me show you how that'll look. Okay, and there we go. I got these all chopped up. So no need to blanch or do anything like that. I'll just put this just like that into the freezer, and then when I want some, I can open it up and take some out and just sprinkle them into a dish. All right, it's Thursday, and I'm here with my buddy David. Say hi.
Hi.
And we are peeling potatoes. We have 3 bushels of peaches coming today, and I had this big box of potatoes, and I have about 1/3 of a bushel of apples still down on the floor, needing to be have something done with them. So today's preservation product, I've got my helper here peeling the potatoes, and then we are going to mash all of these potatoes, and we're going to dehydrate them. So once you dehydrate them, you can kind of turn them into a powder that you can use for several things that I'll explain to you here in a bit. But first, we need to get all of these peeled and boiled. Thankful for my helper. Our potatoes are all peeled, and I'm getting these boiling here on the stove. And I'm not going to waste these potato peels. There's good nutrition in that, and we will definitely eat them. So what I did is I tossed them in the bowl here. I added a little bit of olive oil, some salt and pepper, and mixed it around really well, and then spread these out on some baking sheets. And I'm going to roast them in the oven on 400 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. And we will eat these with lunch. Peels are all done. These would be really good sprinkled with cheese or sour cream. Chives, kind of like how potato skins taste, because they're crispy like that on the outside. Just a nice little snack. Our potatoes have boiled down, so I'm just going to strain these out and get them mashed. Now, to dehydrate your mashed potatoes, it's kind of the same concept as dehydrating something like fruit leather. So you're going to line your dehydrator trays with parchment paper, or if you have some kind of silicone mat, and then you're just going to spread the mashed potatoes out on the sheet, and then they will kind of dry, and then we can turn them into a powder. So I've got Elizabeth here helping me out, and we're going to get all of these mashed potatoes dried. So something to remember when you're doing this with mashed potatoes is you do not want to dehydrate potatoes that you've added fat, like butter or oil or anything like that to. I wouldn't even add milk or anything. This is just the plain mashed potatoes that she's spreading out there. You can add those items like the milk and the fat when you go to rehydrate them to use them later. And I'll explain how we're going to use these as soon as we get done here. Miss Elizabeth is working on the last tray, and we have some leftover potatoes that we're just going to put in the fridge, and this will be for a meal this weekend. And then we are going to dehydrate these at 135 degrees for about 10 to 12 hours. We'll just see how it goes. Good job, sis. All right, it is Thursday evening, and I just got home, and I have a little bit of a dilemma here. So here's my dilemma. I went to pick these peaches up, and I thought I was picking up 2 bushels of peaches. And I got there, and she was like, "Oh no, dear, I have you down for 5 bushels of peaches." And I'm like, so I order a lot of my bulk fruit through the Amish, and you place your order sometimes weeks, maybe even a month ahead of picking it up. I placed this order, I believe, in the end of July. And for some reason, I was thinking that I ordered 2 bushels. But what happens is there are weeks where I'm feeling extremely energetic, and I might have 5 bushel energy on the week of an order. And so apparently the week I ordered peaches, I had the kind of energy to handle 5 bushels of peaches. Then 3 or 4 weeks goes by, and I no longer have 5 bushel energy anymore. I now have 2 bushel energy. But it's too late. I ordered 5 bushels. I don't know what I was thinking. So, but every year I do this, I overwhelm myself. And then in the end, after I get it all in jars and in the freezer, I'm very grateful that I did the extra bushels. So it's kind of changed my plans here for the next 3 days, but we're gonna make it happen. The good news is when you order peaches, a lot of times they're picked green and they ripen off the tree. These ones are kind of in the middle of ripening, so I have a couple days. It's not pressing that I get them in jars right this minute. So what I'm gonna do, I need to start by going through these boxes and finding the most ripe ones and getting those in jars first, and then I'll pick some that are greener out and put those in a box that can kind of be the last to get canned. My plan is to do most of these as sliced peaches in jars. I'll probably freeze a lot. I might do some peach pie filling and maybe a little bit of peach salsa. It just depends on what I have coming in from the garden, if I have the peppers and the onions and things that I need to do my peach salsa recipe. So yes, it's going to be a busy couple of days, and it looks like you know what I'm going to be doing for the Every Bit Counts challenge. Peaches! Yay! What was I thinking? Alright, so this is when you see the lazy canning side of me, right, Elizabeth? So my helper here, we washed these very thoroughly. We do not peel our peaches. We just slice them and put them in the jars, and then we're going to raw pack with water. A lot of people can their peach slices in a syrup, and I'm sure that's delicious, but sugar is not necessary in terms of safety for canning peaches. And I find my children enjoy the peach slices when I just raw pack them in water. It's a sweet enough treat for them. We'll just drain a jar of these in the winter and the kids will eat the peach slices as is. Or we use these peach slices, we'll drain them and then we'll add that fruit to like a fruit cobbler or something like that. So all I'm gonna do is raw pack these with water, fill it all the way up, get all the air bubbles out, and then we're gonna water bath can them. What do you think? Pretty good? Okay. And then tomorrow I will show you what we do with the leftover peach pits, because those also do not go to waste. But tonight I just needed to get one batch of these in the canner just to get started, because I'm feeling slightly overwhelmed with all these peaches. But it's a good problem. It's a blessing. I'm not complaining. I just know I have a lot of work in store for me. So let me get these in the canner and then we'll go from there tomorrow. Now, because these are raw packed with just room temperature water, they will go into the water bath canner with tap water that's room temperature, and it will all come to a boil together. And these will process then. Once it comes to a roiling boil, they'll process for 25 minutes because they are quarts. If we were doing pints, we would do 20 minutes. And I also just sliced up 2-gallon bags full of peaches. I'm going to be doing this quite a bit because these will go into the freezer, and then this winter when we want a batch of peach sauce, I can just pull one of these out and cook them up that day and puree it and either turn it into fruit leather or use it as peach sauce, whatever we want. And this will save me some time right now to get this preserved quickly before it goes bad. And then I do reuse my bags, so there won't be waste that way. It just depends on how much freezer space I have. That that determines how much I can freeze. So this is what I'm doing tonight. Alright guys, it is, excuse me, it is Friday morning. I'm just finishing my tea. Adam left for work. I'm going to get an egg casserole in the oven. All the children are still sleeping. And I'm going to start on some maple vanilla peach jam because we have to go to speech therapy today. And I need to do something to whittle down some of these peaches. So I'll link this cookbook below, and while our breakfast bakes and the children are slowly waking up, I'm going to get started preserving. There are 2 kinds of peaches you can buy. One is called a cling, which is what I have here, and one is called a freestone. Freestone peaches remove very easily from the peach pit. Clings stick, and you have to basically cut them away. What I'm doing to save myself time, because I have a lot to process, is just cutting as close as I can to the pit, but leaving all this fruit. But it will not go to waste. I'm saving all of these pits with the fruit, and we're going to make jelly from those today. So this is just a way to save myself time with these cling peaches. But don't worry, nothing will be wasted. My first little buddy is up. Hi. 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 He's enjoying some peaches already. He's quite a fan of all this fruit during this season coming into the house. So I'm going to entertain him with peaches while I keep working. Getting ready to put in my vanilla bean. I buy my whole vanilla beans from Azure Market, Azure Standard. That's where I tend to find the best prices on them. But oh, it smells delicious. I wish you could smell this right now. My vanilla bean is in there, and now I'm adding my lemon juice. I'll link the recipe below for all of this. And since I'm using Pomona's pectin, I have to prepare my calcium water. So what you do is a half a teaspoon of the calcium powder that the pectin comes with, and then a half a cup of water, and you just mix them together, and then I'll use what I need for this recipe, and then this calcium water stores in the fridge for the next time I need to use it. So that will not go to waste. We're going to get this measured out and added to the pot. Alright, my second buddy is awake now. David has joined us. He's helping watch my little munchkin there who's getting into trouble. But now I'm mixing together my maple syrup. This recipe uses maple syrup instead of sugar, which is awesome because I can't have refined sugar, but I can have maple syrup. So this is a jam that I can eat. And so I just have to mix my maple syrup and my pectin together. And in the meantime, we're going to get these peaches and everything here all cooked down. And once this all softens and mashes down a little bit, we'll add the maple syrup and the pectin. Our fruit is now boiling, so we're just going to add our maple syrup mixture here and get it stirred around, and we're going to let this boil for 2 minutes before we get this in jars. Alright, it boiled for 2 minutes, and in the meantime we've got more buddies joining us. Hey John, good morning. Oh, he's so grumpy. Alright, well I better hurry up and finish up then. We are going to get this jam into these jars, and then we're going to process them in the water bath. While David is helping me wipe the rims of my jars here, I'm going to get started making our jelly from the pit. So I had some leftovers here of the jam and the leftover vanilla beans, and I'm just going to add my peach pits here to that. And then we're going to fill this about halfway with water and let this simmer all morning, and that's going to make a nice peach juice that we can make a jelly from. Got our jam in the water bath. That'll process for 10 minutes, and then we're just working on bringing this juice that we're making here from the pits and leftover peach bits. We'll bring this juice up to a boil and let it simmer for a little bit, and then we'll strain all the solids out, and I'm going to make some peach pit jelly. And I'll show you that here in a little bit. And that timing was just about perfect. Our egg casserole is done. This was just leftover potatoes and some meat from dinner the other night. I believe that was sausage. And then I added some scallions and some eggs and salt and pepper. We're just going to cut this up and eat it. Probably have peaches with it. What do you think? You guys are going to be eating peaches all week. Are you okay with that? Yeah. Peaches for every meal. I'll make you a pie though, promise. Alright, messy kitchen. Everybody's eating. All 5 of my boys. Where are your sisters? They must be sleepy. They're still sleeping? So how's that egg casserole?
Good.
Pretty good? Awesome. Alright guys, we're going to get eating, and then I can get this messy kitchen all cleaned up. Yikes. Alright, we got our jam out of the water bath, and big boys are getting ready to do their chores. Little boys need to eat their food. Come on, boys. No more peaches. They've eaten like 3 peaches each. You need to eat your eggs. Come on. Start eating now. Start eating. Thank you. Alright, and I'm still waiting on this to finish simmering, and I need to clean up the kitchen. You guys ready to start the day? Alright. This has simmered for almost an hour now, and I feel like I have a nice thick peach flavored juice. So what I'm doing now is just straining out all of these solid bits. I have a couple of vanilla beans in here, and all the peach pits and bits, and that'll be strained out, and what'll be left behind is our juice here to make some jelly. So let me get all this done. I will be saving these vanilla beans because there's still life left in them. So I'm just going to set these aside and probably put them in the fridge, and then when I go to make my next batch, I will use these again. Just using the Pomona's Pectin basic jelly recipe, so I need to measure out 4 cups of this juice, and then we will go from there. If I have a little extra, I'll double the recipe. So I need 2 hands for this. Hold on. We ended up with almost exactly 8 cups of juice, which is perfect. I can go ahead and just double the recipe here. So now I need to add my calcium water, my lemon juice, and my sugar and pectin. Just the same as I've done with, I believe I made grape jelly last week. And once again, I will post the link in the description to this cookbook, as well as if I can find the recipe online. Some of the Pomona's website has a lot of the canning recipes on it. So, all right, I'm going to get busy.
It's like ice cream.
It's like ice cream?
Mm-hmm.
It smells like ice cream?
Mm-hmm.
It's the vanilla in it. That's what's making it smell so yummy. Vanilla peach jelly. That smells good.
It's yummy.
Yummy. That'll be good on a sandwich, won't it?
Yeah. Smell it. It's ice cream.
It's ice cream.
It smells like ice cream.
It smells like ice cream. All right, well, let's finish getting it in jars. We'll get it all canned up. You can enjoy that all winter, John. Sound good? We got 4 full pints of this peach vanilla jelly, and just this little bit that's left over that some of the kids will probably eat this weekend with the other odds and ends in the fridge. All right, so 10 minutes in the water bath, this will go, and we can add it to the jam that we made today. So not bad for a morning's worth. With the jam and the jelly combined, we got 7.5 pints, so I'm pleased with that. But now I need to run children around to do some errands. We have speech therapy and several other things going on. So I might not get to any more preserving today. And if that's the case, I will see you tomorrow. Alright guys, it's Sunday, and I thought I'd show you another way that you can use your scraps and all your pits and peels and things that are left over from your peaches. So today I'm just slicing peaches to freeze. We'll use these for pies and cobblers and smoothies and anything else we want peach slices for. But then my pits that I have left over, I've just added to a gallon glass jar here. It was about somewhere between 1/3 and 1/2 of the way full with the pits. And then I added 8 cups of water and 3 cups of sugar, and I'm just working on kind of stirring that around. Now, to kind of speed up the peach vinegar process, we're going to add a little bit of vinegar from an old apple cider vinegar batch. Let me show you what I'm going to add here. So I don't know if you can see at the bottom of my 2020 apple scrap vinegar batch, I have these little kind of slimy pancakes that have formed. This is what's called the mother of vinegar. If you brew kombucha, it's called a SCOBY, but it's a different kind of bacteria when you're making vinegar. And it's just a colony of bacteria, and this is what aids in the fermentation process. So I'm going to actually add one of those SCOBYs from a previous batch of vinegar to this peach vinegar. And then I'm actually going to pour in just maybe 1/2 cup or so I'm going to drop that. 1/2 cup or so like that of the vinegar to get this batch started. Now, it is not necessary to add vinegar from a previous batch or a SCOBY, but that, if you do, it will just speed up the fermentation process and get this brewing a little faster. So let me get this covered up and show you how you're going to store this while it's fermenting. Okay, so as you can see, to cover this, all I've done is put a coffee filter, and I've just tied some yarn around it. You could use an elastic band or something like that. And this is just going to sit out on my counter for somewhere between 2 to 4 weeks. And all of this peach here is going to ferment and add a wonderful peach flavor to this vinegar that's brewing. What I have to watch though is every day I kind of need to shake it up a little bit and make sure that the stuff near the top isn't getting any mold or anything like that on it. That's why I like to add some vinegar from a previous batch to it, because I feel like that helps it begin to ferment sooner, and then I have less molding or anything like that. So I just keep it somewhere on the counter where I can see it so that I can shake it, even stir it around if I need to, take the top off. And then after a couple weeks, or anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks, I will strain out all of these solids, and then this will continue to ferment for a few more months, and we'll end up with some peach vinegar. And then I've got this that's going to go in the freezer, and this is sort of what I'm working on today. I think I got the date wrong earlier. It's actually Saturday, and Adam is planning a date day for us, so I don't have a lot of time to do canning, so I just wanted to get something done really quickly this morning before we go on our date, and so this is what I've started. And hopefully tonight when I get back, I can get some more bags in the freezer. All right, so all of those trays of potatoes blended down into a little, just a little over 2 cups of powder. And so you're probably wondering how I plan to use this. Well, mostly what I use it for is a vegan cheese sauce. I have a sauce that is mashed potatoes, butternut squash, nutritional yeast, onion powder, turmeric, salt, a bunch of stuff like that. And so what I'll do is I'll mix this powder with all of the dry ingredients in a little half-pint jar, and it'll all be ready. Then all I have to do is add my pureed butternut squash to it, or pumpkin to it, and my cheese sauce will be ready. So that'll be really convenient. And it's just a really easy way. All of this mashed potato, if I had frozen it, would have used up way too much space in my freezer. Until I have a chance to get all of that mixed together, these will just live up here with everything else. We're starting to fill up. So there you have it. That's what we were able to accomplish this week in the 4th week of the challenge. And there's just a few more days left in the month of August, but I plan to document through the whole next week and show you what we're preserving. So there'll be one more video in this series, but that's it for today. Adam and I are getting ready to go on our first date since February 2020. This is the first time we've had babysitters that would watch the kids, that would allow us to get out and just have some time just for the 2 of us. So we're very excited about that. That's what we're going to do. And then tomorrow I'll be back in the swing of things, canning more stuff and showing it, documenting it to show you next week. So until then, I hope you have a blessed week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.